off in this game and you lost to a team that won 10 games last year in your own building. And somebody please explain to me two things. Number one, defensive guru. Stephanie White's a defensive guru. You gave up 107. A C note +7 at home.
The Indiana Fever had everything set up for a perfect opening night. Their big three combined for 73 points. The game was nationally televised. The arena was completely sold out, and they were facing a Dallas Wings team that won only 10 games last season. Yet somehow, Indiana still walked away with a heartbreaking 107-104 overtime loss. What makes this defeat even more painful is that it was not because Caitlin Clark, Kelsey Mitchell, or Aaliyah Boston failed to deliver. In fact, the Fever Stars gave the organization everything fans could hope for in a season opener, only for performance to be wasted by questionable coaching decisions that left the team exposed late in the game. Kelsey Mitchell was sensational from start to finish, exploding for 30 points and reminding everyone exactly why Indiana committed so heavily to her. She shot 11 of 22 from the field, attacked the defense relentlessly, and completely carried the scoring load whenever the offense slowed down. After struggling during the preseason, Mitchell bounced back with an aggressive, confident performance that looked every bit like the all-WNBA star Fever fans expected to see. Aaliyah Boston also delivered one of the best performances of her Fever career. She scored 23 points on an efficient 9 of 14 shooting night, while adding 7 assists and controlling the offense in key stretches. Her chemistry with Caitlin Clark in the pick and roll looked unstoppable. Her mid-range game was automatic, and she even stretched the floor with a three-pointer. Boston consistently punished double teams with smart passing and looked like a legitimate MVP caliber player throughout the night. Caitlin Clark added another historic chapter to her already remarkable career with 20 points, 7 assists, and 4 rebounds. While her shooting was not perfect, her impact on the game was undeniable. Her court vision created opportunities all over the floor. Her ability to attack the basket showed clear growth, and she remained composed despite the pressure of opening night. Clark's leadership and playmaking kept Indiana competitive throughout the game and gave fans several moments of brilliance that lit up the arena. The biggest issue was not the effort from Indiana Stars, but what happened around them. The Fever looked disorganized late in the game, struggled defensively in critical possessions, and failed to make the necessary adjustments once Dallas gained momentum in overtime. Stephanie White's coaching decisions became the center of frustration for fans as questionable rotations and poor late-game management allowed the Wings to steal a game Indiana appeared capable of winning. Meanwhile, Paige Buchers in Dallas stayed calm, executed in key moments, and capitalized on every mistake. Instead of celebrating a statement victory, Fever fans were left wondering how such an incredible performance from the Big Three ended in disappointment.
The fastest point guard to do so. So the fastest point guard to ever reach 1,000 points. Also, she is the fastest player in WNBA history to reach 1,000 points, 250 rebounds, 250 assists. Caitlin Clark is generational. That's pretty badass. Fastest player ever to do 1,000, 250, and 250 plus.
Last night, Caitlin Clark added another historic achievement to her already legendary start in the WNBA. She officially became the 6th fastest player in league history to reach 1,000 career points. But even more impressively, she became the fastest point guard ever to hit that milestone. And that was only part of the story. Clark is now officially the fastest player in WNBA history to record 1,000 points, 250 rebounds, and 250 assists. That is not just elite production. That is generational greatness unfolding in real time. Now, was her shooting exactly where she wanted it to be? Not quite. Clark struggled from beyond the arc, finishing just 2 of 9 from three-point range. The offseason shooting adjustments she worked on with Brandon Payne did not fully click in this game, and some of that was clearly due to rust after missing the entire 2025 postseason. But Dallas also deserves credit because the Wings defended her exactly the way teams are going to attack her all season long. They played physically, crowded her space, face guard her constantly, and force her into difficult contested shots every time she touched the ball. Still, the most important statistic from Caitlin Clark's night was not her three-point percentage. It was her impact on winning. Despite the shooting struggles, Clark still finished with a positive plus-minus rating at +2. That means Indiana was still better with her on the floor. And when you combine her production with Kelsey Mitchell and Aaliyah Boston, the Fever's big three accounted for 73 total points. On paper, that should have been more than enough to secure a victory. So how did Indiana lose? That is the question nobody in the mainstream media seems willing to address. Because the real story of this game was not what happened with the starters. It was what happened when the bench entered the game. The Fever completely lost control during critical stretches, momentum shifted instantly, and the coaching decisions surrounding rotations and substitutions became impossible to ignore. The stars did their job. The bench unit did not, and that is where this game truly slipped away from Indiana.
Hines Allen, forget about it. Forget about it. I was like, are you serious? We did this? We signed this player? Not good. The big three, let's just be honest. When you score 20, 23, and 30, your big three just went off at home.
The biggest problem for Indiana was what happened when the starters went to the bench. Sophie Cunningham logged over 25 minutes and scored just 3 points. The veteran presence that was brought in provided toughness, floor spacing, and energy simply did not deliver offensively. She attempted only 2 shots the entire game, making 1 3-pointer. But 3 points in more than 25 minutes is nowhere near the level of production Indiana needs from a key rotational player. Lexi Hull's return from a hamstring injury was also far from the impact fans were hoping to see. In nearly 15 minutes of action, Hull went scoreless, finishing 0-4, 2 from the field with just 1 rebound and 1 assist. For a player who shot 47% from three-point range and has become one of Caitlin Clark's most valuable floor spacing weapons, the lack of offensive production stood out immediately. The rust from missing preseason action was obvious, and Indiana struggled to find rhythm with her on the floor. Raven Johnson also had a quiet regular season debut. The rookie played nearly 12 minutes, but scored only 2 points while finishing as a -3. She was drafted for her defensive intensity and potential as a backcourt contributor, yet the momentum she built during preseason play seemed to disappear under the pressure and speed of opening night. Indiana needed energy from its young players, but Johnson never fully settled into the game. Then there was Tyasha Harris, whose usage raised even more questions. Harris played just over 4 minutes and failed to register a single point, shot attempt, or major contribution. In such a tight overtime game, the lack of bench impact became impossible to ignore. While Indiana stars carried the defensive load for most of the night, the supporting cast failed to provide the depth, scoring, and stability needed to close out a winnable game.
What do we talk about this team? Depth, front office, depth, lack of length, depth. The second team is not good. Your bench, not very good.
What has everyone been saying about the Indiana Fever for weeks? Lack of depth, lack of size, lack of reliable bench production. And opening night exposed every single one of those concerns in brutal fashion. When you add up production from Sophie Cunningham, Lexi Hull, Raven Johnson, and Tyasha Harris, the numbers are almost unbelievable. Those 4 bench players combined for just 5 total points on 1 of 6 shooting, while logging a combined 56 minutes on the court. Nearly an entire game's worth of minutes produced only 5 points. That is the real reason Indiana lost this season opener. It was not Caitlin Clark shooting 2 of 9 from three-point range. It was not Aaliyah Boston missing late possessions. The bench unit completely collapsed, and Stephanie White failed to make the adjustments needed to stop the damage. For weeks, people have warned that Indiana's second unit simply was not good enough, and opening night on national television proved those concerns right. To be fair, the Dallas Wings deserve credit. Coach Chris Cocklanes had his team extremely well prepared defensively. Paige Buchers looked every bit like the number 1 overall pick, and Dallas executed with composure when overtime arrived. Eriko Gunbowl also delivered huge scoring production, and the Wings made the winning plays late. But despite all of that, Indiana still should have won this game. Their stars combined for 73 points. They were playing at home in front of a sold-out crowd, and they controlled momentum for long stretches before letting the game slip away because the bench could not provide a single spark offensively. The coaching decisions only made the situation more frustrating for Fever fans. The biggest question surrounding the game is why Shatori Walker-Kimbrough never touched the floor. Stephanie White made the decision to leave her on the bench for the entire game despite Walker-Kimbrough clearly being Indiana's most productive bench scorer throughout the preseason. Against the New York Liberty, she exploded for 18 points off the bench and finished as a plus, 12 while providing instant offense and veteran scoring. Yet on opening night, while the Fever desperately searched for bench reduction and watched their reserves contribute only 5 total points, White chose not to use her at all. That decision is becoming one of the biggest talking points coming out of this loss, because Walker-Kimbrough appeared to be the most obvious solution available. The confusion did not stop there. Tyasha Harris, a veteran point guard who was signed to stabilize the second unit and help manage the offense when Caitlin Clark rested, played only 4 minutes and 27 seconds. Instead, White leaned heavily on rookie Raven Johnson, who struggled to make an impact and finished as a -3. If Harris was healthy enough to suit up, many fans are questioning why she was not given more opportunities to run the offense and settle the second unit during critical stretches of the game. Stephanie White's rotation choices are now under heavy scrutiny. Sophie Cunningham remained on the floor for more than 25 minutes despite struggling offensively. Lexi Hull clearly looked rusty returning from injury, and Walker-Kimbrough, the team's best preseason scorer off the bench, never entered the game at all. Indiana's stars did everything possible to win, but the support around them failed badly, and the coaching adjustments never came. For many Fever fans, opening night did not just expose a depth problem. It exposed serious concerns about how this roster is being managed moving forward.
Up in this game now, didn't it? I'm supposed to love Stephanie White because she's this defensive wizard. I mean, Paige Beckers goes off on you. Aguba Wale, who just got back from China, dropped 22. You got beat at home.
All offseason, Fever fans were told that Stephanie White would transform Indiana into a disciplined defensive team. The expectation was that her reputation as a defensive mastermind would finally fix the perimeter breakdowns and inconsistency that plagued the Fever last season. But on opening night, that narrative completely fell apart. Indiana gave up 107 points at home to a Dallas Wings team that won only 10 games last year. Paige Buchers and Eriko Gunbowl attacked the Fever defense relentlessly, slicing to the perimeter with ease, and exposing major communication problems throughout the game. There were very few meaningful adjustments, almost no rim protection when Dallas attacked the paint, and the defensive rotations consistently broke down in critical moments. When your big three combines for 73 points and you still lose because the defense allows 107, serious questions have to be asked about the coaching and preparation. As frustrating as the coaching performance was, though, there was an even bigger moment during the third quarter that completely changed the atmosphere inside the arena. For a brief moment, the entire basketball world seemed to stop breathing. A terrifying cloud suddenly hung over the game, and the energy inside the building shifted instantly as fear and concern replaced excitement. What happened in that moment overshadowed everything else.
Your bench, not very good. Now, let's get over to this. Holly Rowe just said the Fever training staff appear to be doing something with Caitlin Clark's groin in the tunnel, but couldn't confirm it. Caitlin is now back on the bench with a heating pad around her lower back. This was in the third into the fourth quarter. Grant Young from SI. Caitlin Clark.
During the third quarter, concern spread quickly throughout the arena after ESPN's sideline reporter Holly Rowe revealed that the Fever training staff appear to be working on Caitlin Clark's groin area inside the tunnel. Shortly after, Clark returned to the bench wearing a large heating pad wrapped around her lower back, immediately sparking panic among Fever fans. The situation became even more alarming when Sports Illustrated reporter Grant Young later confirmed that Clark briefly went back to the locker room at the start of the fourth quarter. While there has not yet been an official medical update, the entire sequence raised serious questions about Clark's physical condition during the very first game of the season. Fans are especially nervous because of how injuries were handled by the organization last year. Many supporters still remember the frustration surrounding vague day-to-day updates and the feeling that injuries were not fully communicated to the public. That history is exactly why so many people immediately hit the panic button after seeing Clark receive treatment during the game. Questions instantly started flooding social media. Is the groin issue already becoming a problem in Game 1? Is the lower back discomfort connected to the physical pressure she constantly faces from opposing defenses? Whatever the explanation may be, the fact that Clark still battled through it all and finished with 20 points only reinforced how tough and competitive she truly is. At the end of the night, the reality was clear. Indiana's big three played well enough to win. Kelsey Mitchell was outstanding, Aaliyah Boston dominated offensively, and Caitlin Clark once again delivered a historic performance despite dealing with physical discomfort. The starters showed chemistry, scoring ability, and offensive rhythm throughout the game. What failed Indiana was everything around them: the lack of bench reduction, the defensive breakdowns, and the inability of the coaching staff to make effective in-game adjustments when momentum shifted toward Dallas. Now, the pressure surrounding Stephanie White and the Fever front office has intensified dramatically heading into the next game against the Atlanta Dream. Even before the season opener, frustration among parts of the fan base was already growing because of concerns about coaching philosophy and roster depth. After losing the home opener in overtime while giving up 107 points, those frustrations have exploded. Suddenly, the spotlight on this team feels far more intense than anyone expected this early in the season, and every move the coaching staff makes over the next few games will be heavily scrutinized by fans and media alike.